Before I begin today's stories, I want to let you guys know that the first one has to do with the paranormal, or it possibly does, and I want to make it clear that I don't believe in ghosts. There's just not enough evidence to support their existence, and don't get me wrong, I've heard some ghost stories that kind of freaked me out when I was a kid. There was this crummy little museum in our town, and apparently there was this old guy down in the basement that one of the employees found one day. They asked him to leave, and he allegedly said that he was waiting for his wife, so the employee went and grabbed a manager, and by the time he got back, the old man was nowhere to be seen. As a kid, this story shook me up a bit, and it's funny because as an adult, you hear these stories, and your first instinct is to explain them away through logic. I'll tell another ghost story that I was told in high school before I move on to mine, but this girl named Ivy told this story in class one day. She said that she and a group of friends were driving down the road in the middle of winter. All of a sudden, the car lost traction and started spinning in circles. I think she said it spun 3 times before it came to an abrupt halt, and she said that everyone in the car felt the exact same feeling, as though a presence was with them. To me, it sounded like she lost traction, gained traction after the 3rd spin, and they all felt the rush of adrenaline, but who am I to judge? I wasn't there. However, when I was 7 years old, something did happen that I can't exactly explain. It was late at night, as it always is when ghosts come out to play. I was laying in bed, which was actually a bunk bed that my brother and I shared. I was on the top bunk. Well, I heard a noise that sounded like my piggy bank. I have this bronze piggy bank that my mother gave us, and we would collect cool-looking coins and store them in there. It sounded like someone was messing with my piggy bank, so I looked over to the side of my bed to see 2 people. I couldn't tell if they were male or female, I just knew one of them was skinny and one of them was really fat. Now the odd thing was I wasn't scared. As a kid, monsters in the dark or people at night typically scare you, but I didn't feel that for some reason. I crept back into my sleeping position until I heard the piggy bank get placed back on my desk. I looked back up and both of the figures were gone. After that, I just went to bed, and the next day I asked my mother and father if they'd went into my room and messed around with the piggy bank. Of course, they said no, and when I told them the story, they didn't believe me. Now, here's the parts that don't make a lot of sense. When David and I went to bed, our door was always shut, and when I heard the piggy bank moving around, the door wasn't opened, nor did I hear it open, which I would have. It was a really run-down house, everything creaked. Secondly, we had a yellow lab, and she was very protective, so if someone had been in our house making noise, she would have been freaking out. Also, my mother and father were both in pretty good shape at the time, and one of the figures was definitely not. If I had to guess, it was probably a dream or my young imagination playing tricks on me in the dark. But I will grant the possibility that ghosts could exist, and this was my encounter. Just because I don't believe in something doesn't mean it isn't out there. This next story has to do with the 2 worst months of my life, and no, I'm not talking about the H. pylori, though I do want to talk about that again at some point. No, this is when my mom got all spiritual about Mother Earth. Does your family ever go through weird all-natural spurts? Because every now and then my mother will meet someone who gets her all jazzed up about eating healthy and living a happier life without sweets, which, to me, those things are mutually exclusive. Either way, when I was 16, my mother heard about naturopaths through a friend of hers and started going to one. Now, if you don't know what a naturopath is, it's a fake doctor who pretends he knows things about you by shining a little red kitty light in your eyes. They're modern-day witch doctors, and they're scams, and I know this for a fact. Well, I started not feeling well. I'll spare you the gruesome details, but I was missing a lot of school because of something I came down with, so instead of taking me to a doctor, my mother took me to this naturopath that she was seeing. The dude shines his little red LED onto my forehead, he's groping my sides. Not once did he do an actual test with any machines. Apparently these guys asked the trees what's wrong with you, and he told me that I have the liver of an 87-year-old man. He told me my heart was bad and my organs were being attacked. He told me that I had worms, and he said the only way to get rid of these things is by not eating sugar for 2 months. Apparently, the worms that had infested me were surviving off glucose or fatty deposits or whatever he said, and if I stopped eating sugar, they'd die. Welcome to hell, Barry. Have I ever mentioned that I'm the sweets guy? I eat candy all the time. I love soda. I drink French vanilla tea with French vanilla creamer. I like my sweets. But not only was I not allowed to eat sweets, I couldn't have anything that was remotely bad for me. Meaning only whole wheat bread, almond milk, no fruit. I couldn't have anything I liked. Hamburgers were off limits. No hot dogs, no bacon and eggs. And I had to do this for 2 months. I, no joke, ended up making a list of foods I wanted to eat when this thing was all over. And at one point, my mother said that she'd like to just continue eating this way forever. The 2 months went by and we go back to the naturopath. He told me that I was in tip-top shape now, my liver was back to the right age, and my heart was healthy. Only problem was I was still just as sick as I was when I went in the first place, so we went to a real doctor. He ran one test and figured out I had the swine flu. Gave me a shot and it was all over. Thanks, Doc. This last story is about my most ninja moments. I'm sure we've all been there. And I'm not talking about the time you threw a water bottle across the room and it landed in the trash can and nobody saw it. I'm talking people were around. Everyone saw what you did. For example, when my grandmother passed away, we had to go to Kansas to clean up her house. Well, my mother left her coffee on the counter and was cleaning up in the bathroom while my brother and I were in the kitchen. He grabs a pile of sticky notes and threw them at me when I grabbed them out of the air and launched them right back at him. It just missed him and put a hole in Mom's coffee cup, which was really funny because coffee just went everywhere. But that one wasn't as impressive as the one in high school. It was junior year and we were in Spanish class. There was this guy in class named Taylor, and Taylor was a very unlucky person. Easily the unluckiest guy I've ever met. He saved up all his money and got a really nice car when he got his license. His family helped him buy it. The exact week he got this car, someone T-boned him. His car was totaled. So he had to borrow his mom's car, which was literally a mommy-mobile. There was another time he was chasing after this girl, and to impress her, he went to her church with her. Apparently, they had to walk through the door and bow to a cross on the wall that had been there for years, and when Taylor bowed to the cross, it fell off the wall and hit him in the face. This crap happened to him all the time, and I always told my friends, if a meteor is about to strike the earth, just stand next to him. He will somehow be the only person who gets hit. Anyway, we're in Spanish class, and he would sharpen his pencil and jab me with it, so I sharpened my pencil and jabbed him back. It was a dumb little thing we did. Well, one day, he's sharpening his pencil, and I got up and jabbed him real quick and then took off across the room. Everyone else was doing a walking and talking group assignment, so it wasn't weird that we were out of our seats. This is when Taylor sharpens his pencil and throws it at me as hard as he can. In front of the entire class, I caught it and threw it back at him, and no joke, I actually broke skin and cut his wrist. He wasn't bleeding, but he did draw blood, and I actually felt really cool after that. I'm pretty sure I have a picture of it, actually. Nope, that's not it. Okay, I can't find it. Either way, it was really cool. Though, looking back at how unlucky he was, it probably wasn't even me. It was just his bad karma guiding the pencil, but you know what? It left my hand and everyone saw it, so I'm taking the credit. Then again, maybe I shouldn't be so proud of a story in which I poke another man with my pencil.